What's up, all you fine people? Welcome back. Before I get into the topic at hand here, I need to get some stuff cleared up. My last video about Bill Maher and The View was immediately removed by YouTube the second that I made it public. I filed an appeal thinking I was again pissing in the wind, but to my surprise, after I shamed them in the appeal comments for their abysmal take on free speech, I actually won my appeal, so that video is back up on the channel, and the strike was removed. I am, however, considering putting any new material that is directly COVID-related right to BitChute and pimping the links here, because like I said, that last video got my channel a strike, and if I had not won my appeal, I wouldn't be able to post anything new here. So I'll be posting my COVID-related content straight to BitChute because they actually do free speech there. And I'll be recommending those videos and providing those links in my other videos here. I know it's a mess, it's a clusterfuck, but YouTube is just awful at things like this. Also, just in case this channel gets tanked by our YouTube overlords, I have links in the description box about where you can find me. At the moment, that means BitChute, it means Minds, and I recently made a GETTR account that has absolutely nothing on it at the moment, but just in case I disappear and you guys miss me like you all know you will, you can check the links below. I'll be at one of those places. I'll start up a new channel or something. You can find me that way. Okay, so another day, another attempt to silence Joe Rogan, and it's so funny to me that the free speech battles on the internet have come down to supporting a dude who comments on cage fighting, UFOs, and DMT. But I like a lot of the guy's work, and I will, with no hesitation whatsoever, defend his right to have a platform discussing whatever the fuck he wants to talk about. Unfortunately, not everyone feels the same. So by now we all know that Neil Young has come out and demanded that Spotify choose between him and Joe Rogan. Well, everyone knows that except the brain cases at The View, who've tried really hard to give Neil Young any bit of credit that they possibly could. And honestly, I could make an hour-long video on everything The View got wrong in that like 7-minute clip. But really, there's low-hanging fruit and there's The View. I don't want to be a channel that just rips on such an easy target as those dipshits over at The View. I don't want to have to punish all you guys by making you watch or listen to the hacks at The View, so I'll just kind of boil down their argument for you. They accuse Joe Rogan of spreading COVID misinformation, which of course is ridiculous because I've heard more COVID misinformation from that one video I did on The View than I've heard from hours of listening to Joe Rogan. They set this up like Neil Young is not for censorship. He has a right to remove his songs from Spotify if he wants to. Well, that's not the issue here. Neil Young didn't just say that he wanted his content off of Spotify because he thinks Rogan is spreading COVID misinformation. He tried to pressure them with an ultimatum. This is what Neil Young actually said. I want you to let Spotify know immediately today that I want all of my music off of their platform. He continued, they can have Rogan or Young, not both. This means he would be willing to stay on Spotify if Spotify removed Joe Rogan. He didn't say just remove my music. He said that he would stay if and only if they kicked off Rogan. Now, of course, Joni Mitchell has jumped on the bandwagon, and God forbid Spotify loses folk singers from the 60s, but we're at such a weird point in the culture. The news spreading around it is also mentioned on The View that Joni Mitchell and Neil Young had polio at a young age, just before the vaccine became available, and apparently this is why they're so in favor of the COVID vaccine. Because, of course, as all of us know who've been paying attention, the COVID vaccine is basically the exact same thing as the polio vaccine. It works the same way. Oh boy. Also referenced on The View and in all of these articles related to this story is the 270 medical experts signing a letter to condemn the bastard Joe Rogan. Which, of course, those medical experts include pot farmers, podcasters, high school science teachers, pharmacists, nurses, a lot of fucking med students, and some writers. And for what? Corporate media wants him taken down, and it's no wonder why. He kicks all of their asses in terms of views. It's not even close. They don't own the narrative anymore. Podcasting and the internet have created another avenue around their monopoly on spreading information. And, of course, that threatens them. You don't have to agree with Joe Rogan on literally anything to understand that fact. They have a vested interest in silencing dissent. When Rogan comes on and points out how CNN and MSNBC and all them have repeatedly lied about him, horse dewormer, those sorts of lies, blatant falsehoods that anyone can look into. And on top of that, he gets like 100 times as many views as they do. They can't just lie with impunity anymore. So yes, Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, whoever else totally has the right to pull their content off of Spotify, but Young did so as an ultimatum. He has a right to do that too, but the rest of us have the right to laugh our asses off when Spotify says, okay, there's the door. And I don't use Spotify, and it's one of the main reasons I don't listen to nearly as much Rogan content as I used to, but good on him. And also, I want to say good on Howard Stern, who's been absolutely batshit on everything COVID-related in the last 2 years, but good on him for standing against censorship. So No Young has come out and said that he is pro-free speech, he is not in favor of any kind of censorship, but at the end of the day, if you're going to demand that a platform take someone off or lose you and give them that kind of an ultimatum, you're literally asking the platform to silence somebody for speaking an opinion you don't agree with. There really is no getting around that. And it's just too crazy to see so many people who can't handle dissenting opinions, man. Even on shit that's medical. Why the hell is that any different than anything else? Literally every piece of corporate news and shows like The View are 100% approved establishment narrative. A comedian cage fighting commentator asked some questions about this stuff, and now we gotta shut that shit down? We can't have that, right? If he's wrong, why don't you guys just use your platform and correct what he said? You own all the cable media. All of you are in alignment on this. Why don't all of y'all just do like segments about Rogan and be like, here's what he got wrong and here's why? But instead, that's not what you want to do. You want to make people disappear because you disagree with them. But if you're right, just show us the receipts. People can make up their own mind. Isn't that how the free speech game is supposed to work anyways? Why the hell should this be any different? But like I said, another day, another attempt to silence Joe Rogan. The Surgeon General was on MSNBC's Morning Joe a few days ago talking about how private platforms aren't doing enough to silence medical misinformation. The government's not happy with the wrongthink that's being allowed in the private sector, apparently. Joe Rogan was referenced specifically again for spreading COVID misinformation. And remember when Jen Psaki, the Minister of Propaganda for the Biden administration and the White House, said the White House was flagging content on social media that they were requesting be removed for wrongthink? I mean, we live in a fucking clown world, man. Honestly, between government officials constantly pressuring private companies to bend the knee to the narrative, and this crazy number of left-wingers and lefty celebrities and musicians that support the establishment and their endgame, it probably is only a matter of time before Rogan gets canceled. At least on Spotify or YouTube, probably Twitter too. There's so much pressure coming from so many different angles that it's only a matter of time. And if you support that in any way, I cannot say fuck you strongly enough. It's so pathetic that people can't handle dissenting opinions. I've tried, as I often do, to check myself for biases and hypocrisy on the stances that I take, and I'm not a perfect person. I've made a lot of mistakes in the past, I'll make more in the future. But on the issue of censorship, I think this is one of a handful of positions that I've taken over the years, from a really early age, that I've never even budged on. It's so ridiculous. I try to think of who I think is just the worst. Who's the worst source of information? Who do I disagree with immensely that has a very prominent voice? And I keep coming back to the Young Turks. Jink and Anna bombard the internet with bad information, with personal attacks and smears, with idiotic opinions, but I don't even hesitate to say that they should have their voice at TYT. Of course they shouldn't be silenced or censored or kicked off of platforms. You know, I like watching some of the horror movie channels and some of the action channels on Pluto TV. And when I first got Pluto TV, I found out the Young Turks actually have a channel on there. I didn't feel the need to boycott Pluto TV because the Young Turks have a voice on the platform. As much as I hate their voice, I don't agree with them on pretty much anything. But I didn't feel the need to be like, wow, I need to boycott Pluto TV now, because the Young Turks have their own actual channel on there. At least they did. They might not anymore, but they did at the time. But I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm just not going to watch that channel. And look, I'm fine. I just can't wrap my hand around it, man. Those of us with different opinions just take the Young Turks to task when they get them wrong. Because censorship is for pussies who can't make reasonable responses.